yeah, that's kind of when we had first talked. That was kind of the general consensus of like, hey, what kind of music do you listen to? What kind of music are you into? This is the kind of music like I kind of want to play. Um, but we also wanted to, at the time when we were kind of coming together, we kind of wanted to try and develop something different together. And it was more like, hey, let me bring my style. Al's gonna bring his, you bring yours, and let's see what we can kind of develop together. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how it like we could just kind of start developing throughout the years as the sound of the band.
Mm-hmm. So, who were some of those bands that you guys listened to that like brought you all together that you had like in common? Like, did you all kind of have like similar?
Yeah, I think we really found like our similarities between the bands we liked, and I think a lot of it was, you know, like grunge music and music of the '90s. I think that was a big one that we kind of shared together because I know Andrew was like really into heavier stuff, but Al and I came from the same band together, so him and I were kind of coming from this like pop punk kind of era,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew like Andrew came from that, but like he kind of like I guess I would say maybe Andrew could speak for this. Maybe matured musically younger than we did.
You listened to cooler music before we did, yeah, for sure. I still listen to cooler music than you do.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
I think at a young age, like I started listening to like the same thing that everyone in the band listened to, like Three Pieces and a lot of like the grunge stuff and the teen angst kind of music. But I also like I kind of came from like a background of like my parents really enjoyed like their Motown and like soul music, and as a result I started getting into jazz and started getting into like really obscure music, and so I kind of wanted to play to that a little bit. So I would learn how to do like weird time signatures and try to mess around with stuff like that. And I think while I was doing that and I was learning how to be like the best drummer I could, these guys were learning how to be the best songwriters they could. So I think it just became like a crazy match where, you know, they're like, I have this idea, and we would all be like, oh, what about this? Yeah, I like that, cool. So we would just write songs and songs and songs and songs. So it really it was kind of a cool match from the very beginning, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like you can hear a little bit of like all those influences in your music, like a little bit of the heavier sound, then more of like the pop punk sound. I feel like especially in like some of your older stuff, it sounded a little bit more like heavier, like so it's very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. The older stuff sounded a little more like traditional rock band. A little bit heavier, maybe a little bit more screamy, a little more punk rock influence. And then I think there was like an evolution in the band, a shift. I think that's probably like a few years back. Andrew got an SPSX drum pad, which allowed him to trigger different sounds and synths and like almost like electronic beats. And when we started getting in the jam room and we wanted to kind of move in a bit of a different direction because we had done the same thing we tried our hand out at the same thing for a little while. And I think naturally in a band, you just want to evolve and try to grow. And it just kind of happened naturally. We got in the jam room, he started messing around with this pad, and we started delving into different sounds that kind of was the road that got us to how Stuck on Planet Earth sounds today.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was gonna ask, like, how do you feel like you've evolved? And like, you just answered it, but like, I definitely hear a big difference in like your older stuff versus your newer stuff. It feels a bit more like upbeat and like, cause I know I heard your most recent song and I was like, oh my god, like this is a bop. Like you want to dance, you know? Like so that's
Well,
awesome.
we've always liked to make dance rock. I just think with the way that we used to do things in the past is we used to release a lot of singles, which we still kind of do now. But in the past, we would try our hand at like, okay, we're gonna try more of a punk rock song. We're gonna try a grunge song. We're gonna try a dance rock song. So we kind of weren't as focused in terms of like where we were sonically. It all sounded like Stuck on Planet Earth, but the focus was a little bit all over the place. I think now we've really locked into a sound. And just to speak to like the evolution of the sound, a lot of it, there's a lot of there's still that grit that rock and roll has. There's still those heavy drums, the heavy guitars, and groovy bass lines. But there's also like now I think there's a little bit more maybe pop sensibility, and we really like to draw from obviously we grew up on rock and roll and grunge music and pop punk, but we also really love R&B and we love pop music and we love like we all share a common interest in like 90s girl R&B bands. We liked Aaliyah, we liked Destiny's Child, we liked TLC. Like those are all jams that we grew up listening to, and it was like, how can we amalgamate a bit of this like R&B feel with kind of like the grit and the edge of rock and roll, and that's the direction we kind of tried to head in, and it definitely has become more focused over time.
Kind of create like more of like a modern rock sound rather than like trying to do something that's kind of already done. Like grunge has been done before, like the hard rock has been done. Like we want to move forward with where rock music is going to go, so it was more of a conscious effort to try and like incorporate all these kinds of styles but kind of make it sound one. So I think it took us just a really long time to kind of hone in on a certain sound, which is why we were kind of like all over the place kind of throughout the years. But I think now like we're really hitting it head on.
Absolutely. And I think that's what made me like gravitate towards your like music, because I was like, this is very different, like this is like distinct. Like I was listening to like all your songs, I was like, you have like a signature sound, I feel, and it's different, it's unique, so it's great.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. I'm curious, how did you guys get the name? Where did the name come from?
Oh man, you get asked this a lot. I don't think I don't even know. I feel like maybe Andrew brought something up, or Adam. It's been a while now, but it was more just like we wanted a statement to represent the band name. We wanted something that felt relevant and true, and we just wanted to live by like a statement. We thought that was cooler than being like the band, or like being a band that removes a vowel from the name. We just wanted a name that really spoke to us, and we just find like over time, obviously we're in this pandemic and we're doing all this crazy stuff and connecting with people all over the world, and it's funny that the name is just it seems to become more relevant as each day goes on. So we're stoked. We love the band name.
I do too. And speaking of the pandemic that's going on right now, I see you guys have been very interactive with your fans and people on Instagram. You want to talk about that a little bit? I see you've been doing some cooking.
Well, I think once the pandemic started and all the shows started getting canceled, it was like, okay, well, what are we gonna do now? Like in terms of like getting out there, playing for fans. And I mean, you've seen a lot of artists doing it. Is a lot of this is all based live streamed now, and playing to fans in your own bedroom and stuff like that. So I think we just went right into it. I don't even think we wasted any time. I think it was like a couple of days we were talking about it. We were like, all right, let's just start doing some live streams. Let's just start taking if people are reaching out and they want to talk to us, or they want us to perform, let's just take it, because there's really not much, like we can't really go anywhere anyways, so let's just do everything that we can right now.
Yeah, and a part of it was like we were so used to being an active band on the road, in the studio, focusing on a lot of different things, like for example, like Andrew just built us like a crazy late show, and we really focused on the production for the last year, and we were touring for the last year, and we kind of were neglecting like the social media. We felt like we were doing an okay job. We were getting by, doing like kind of what we had to. But I feel like right now it's the positive out of the whole pandemic is that we've really like tried to come out of our shell, try to show people more of who we are, our personality. So we're just like, it's just focus on a different set of things that we never really paid too much attention to. And just to speak to Adam's thing, like, having you reach out, having so many people direct messages on Instagram. The one thing that we hated growing up is that when we would try to connect with a band, that we looked up to, they were always so untouchable and unreachable. And yeah, maybe it was prior to social media, but it still felt like there was a disconnect. You can meet them at the show, and even then, like maybe they would be assholes. Very few would be nice. And for us, like we were those kids in the bands that like music really saved us, and we just want to be able to connect with as many people as possible. We want, people reach out to us. We respond to every single person that reaches out to us. so many people that have come to us and been like, oh, like, you know, your song I Want It Now really helped me through this time, or, you know, your song Higher Than the Drugs has made me feel so good and want to dance right now, like during the quarantine. And like that outpouring to us is why we do this. Like that means the world to us. That literally, it makes us feel so good, and it's the most rewarding thing. It's better than being on you know, a big blog or a chart or radio or this or that. It's like literally that's the feeling that we want to, you know, that's what we strive for, that connection. So this has been a really, really good time for us to be able to actually talk to people one-on-one and, you know, talk to them about anxiety and depression and talk to them about what, you know, how they're coping with things, and obviously all the good stuff that comes along with it too. But it's definitely shifted our focus in a different way that's been very positive.
Yeah, and I agree with everything you just said. I feel like it's so important now, like to be so active on social media, especially right now in this time. And like at the end of the day, it's like that's what it's all about, you know, like the music and like what it's doing for people and how it's making them feel, and that's just really important. And it's great that you're so in touch with your fans, because like you're right, it's so cool. It's like years ago you wouldn't be able to have that experience with like a band you loved or like your favorite musician. It's like now it's like cool that you can talk to them. And yeah, that's how I found you guys on Instagram. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, so social media is like really big now, I think, for that. It's so important in that way.
And then we do some fun stuff like the cooking and stuff like that. I mean, there's only two, and one was like a joke, but yeah, you know, you try and have fun with it too.
Entertain everyone, yeah, it's super important.
Exactly.
Of course. So now I also want to talk about your latest music video, Higher Than the Drugs. That's probably the coolest music video I've seen in a really long time. So where did it come from? How did the concept come about?
Yeah, I don't know if
You take it, or Andrew, you guys.
Well, we had someone reach out to us about a concept, and we really liked it. But unfortunately we weren't actually like because they shot it in Los Angeles, and we weren't able to go down there. But the one really cool thing is that during this pandemic, we feel like it just related a lot more, because, you know, you have an astronaut walking through empty streets, and it's just, I don't know, we just felt like at this point right now, it really like related to the times that were happening. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it was that's what I automatically felt. I was like, wow, this is very relevant, but like, it was great. Such a great video. And I loved it. Very cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. So I know this is kind of you know, nobody really knows what's happening in the near future, but do you guys have any plans? Are you writing some new music while you're inside?
So today, I don't know, when is this being posted?
Probably within the next few days.
Okay, so I think we can say it safely here. Today we were putting up like a teaser, and tomorrow we actually are announcing the pre-save and pre-buy for our brand new album called Beautiful Nowhere, that's coming out June 26th. So we're excited because, you know, we've been really focused on putting out this album, and we want to just get it out, and tomorrow is the big announce day. So by the time this comes out, I'm sure it'll be announced into the world.
Yeah.
But as soon as we get off here, we got teasers to post. You know, we have an Instagram live show that's happening tonight. So yeah, new record, new music's coming out next month, and we're just very, very excited about it. Obviously, you know, we had to cancel a whole bunch of touring plans with Pop Evil, and then as well as some dates around Canada and the northeast of the U.S. We were supposed to come down your way, truthfully. But that all got kiboshed. So, you know, we're just making do with what we can. We want to release music, you know, put up some music videos, talk to fans on social media, live stream, just doing all the things that we can to keep busy and keep our music alive right now.
Yeah, and hopefully once everything is over, you guys can reschedule those tours and come over here to New York. But
absolutely love New York. We absolutely love New York. We played it so many times. We played Long Island. The fans have always been so good there, and we've had a good time. Very, very good welcoming in New York. So we can't wait to get back.
What's
Every
the
time
name of that place called? What's up that bar called?
I'm telling you,
Pianos?
it's Crooked Rail.
No, the Crooked Rail.
No, the Crooked Rail is in my heart, but the other place, the pianos, dueling
Piano. That's in New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
the
was,
city.
that was rough.
He's in
That
Long
was rough.
Island. Alexis in Long Island.
I love Long Island. It's like I have my same birthday sisters out there. Liz, hi Liz.
Oh.
She's they're with the Crooked Rail.
Yeah, so just to speak to Andrew, when we first started touring around the U.S., New York has been great, but Long Island specifically, we found a home in Newport, and this venue just took us in, and they would give us great set times, and we played to a packed, sold out show at their venue. They gave us so much, and we'd go to radio stations, we'd do press. They would book a whole couple days for us. They even put us up in a beautiful hotel today. So
Wow.
the hospitality from Long Island, that's the kind of hospitality that we like, because we would do the same for people coming here to visit us.
And there's parking everywhere.
Yes.
Because what I was gonna say is, like, every time I think of New York or New York City, and whenever we played in New York, I just think of, like, we spent 4 hours in traffic. We had to park like a million blocks down from the venue, and I just remember us being late, and we literally were running down the street with all of our gear trying to make the show.
Oh no.
So yeah.
We-
I can't remember if we got a ticket, but I just remember every time we played in New York, it was always a lot of traffic to get there, and it was always like, I mean, it's a hustle bustle city, right? So
Yeah.
I remember, I think someone had to take a pee, and we had to like.
that was me. That was me.
Yeah, and we had to like Andrew was driving this massive 15 passenger truck in like downtown streets of New York, and I remember you had to pay to use the washroom somewhere. Did you have to pay?
I had to buy like a soda. Every single restaurant I went into was like, no, you're not using our water. You have to buy something. I was like, man, are you? I was like, really? Come on, like, I really gotta go. Like, no, you gotta buy something. So I had to buy like a Perrier or something.
Yeah, like a $10 pee because it was so expensive.
Oh my god.
It was
Yep.
worth it. Well worth it.
That's the city though, unfortunately. But
I'll never won't regret that.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a definitely a busy city. Hard to park there.
Oh my god, it's a nightmare. Like whenever I go to the city, I try to take the train just so I don't have to park. Cause like, I mean, I've driven to the city, but it's a nightmare to park. But Long Island is definitely a little bit better with the parking. So that's a good thing about it.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, whenever we played in Long Island, we parked right in front of the venue. It was nice and easy.
Easy.
Long Island's beautiful, man. It's got that island feel. Like it's beautiful greenery, nice trees. Like it just, I don't know. It feels a little more connected to nature there.
Definitely. It's like for us, it's good because we kind of get the best of both worlds. Like I'm 20 minutes away from the beach and then 40 minutes from the city, So I'm like kind of nice in the middle. I get to have a little bit of like the city, a little bit of like the beach, like the grass, greenery.
Perfect.
So yeah, Long Island's cool. But Canada's great too. I love Toronto. I really do. So I want to come back eventually.
Toronto is great.
Yeah.
We're a very, very multicultural city. I'm sure like New York is too, but yeah, it's definitely beautiful here.
There is, and everyone is so nice there. Like I remember the first time I went, I was with my cousin. I was like, everyone is so nice, and she's like, no, you're just from
Does
New
everyone
York,
say
and
sorry?
everyone's aggressive there. Like,
You know what? It's very true. New York, it's yes, everyone is aggressive in New York. No one bats an eye. You hear people are kind of a little more. Someone bumps into you, you're gonna get a sorry. You're gonna get like someone's gonna apologize.
yeah.
And throw an A in there.
A.
And they're also funny too in Toronto. Wherever you plant a parking lot, a condo grows. So that's the new thing in Toronto too.
Really interesting.
Now. Every 10 feet there's a new condo. So
We're gonna be like New York one day.
Yeah.
Hopefully the attitude is still nicer.
Yeah, for sure. Because I've been to the city in Toronto too, and it's like it's huge. It reminded me a lot of New York City, except just a little bit smaller and like cleaner and nicer.
It's
But
a-
like,
definitely a mini New York.
yeah. So
We're
Way less
probably,
people.
We're probably about 50 years behind.
no.
Probably, yeah, something like that.
I love it though. I love it there so much. I definitely want to come back as soon as this whole pandemic is over. So
You should.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
I got a question for you.
Yes.
What's that picture behind you?
Oh, so right here, I'll show you. Hold on. So I went to Cuba 2 years ago, and I was in Havana and somebody was selling this painting.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, right there. And then I got some albums on the wall too. Some
What
Mick
albums you got there? What
Jagger,
is that?
Magical Mystery
Yeah.
Tour, The Stones. Yeah.
Classics.
Yes.
That's very good.
Thank you. Well,
I had to ask. I was enjoying the colors.
thank you. I know it's like you can't see the whole thing, but well, thank you. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and chatting with me. And you guys are fantastic. And I hope once everything is over, you guys come here to the island. I'll come out and see you guys,
Of course.
and just keep doing what you're doing. You guys are great, and I think you guys are doing something really special. So, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much for having us today.
Of course. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon, and when everything's posted, I'll let you guys know.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Bye, guys. Stay safe.
Okay,
Ciao.
bye.
Stay
Bye.
Yeah, that's kind of when we had first talked, that was kind of the general consensus of like, hey, what kind of music do you listen to?